Hello, everyone, and welcome to Metro TV. I'm your host, Andy Hoig, publisher and CEO of Metro Magazine and Midland's Business Journal. What a great show we have for you today. I'm going to be talking with my dear friend and amazing human being, Van Deeb. We'll be talking about his journey in life and also his new book, Baxter. So don't go away. We'll be right back. Well, welcome, my friends. I am actually here with a very good friend of mine. I think I've known this gentleman for close to 30 years because I've been doing this for 30 years, Metro Magazine for 30 years. Van Deeb, motivational speaker, author, success coach, real estate expert. I think we could put a lot more behind real estate and dog owner. Van,
most important part of it was the dog owner.
I know. So, and I'm so excited. We're gonna talk about Baxter book in the background. We're gonna get to that a little bit later. But Van, thank you so much for joining me today. Wow.
Andy, I'm so grateful to be here. And you know, you're right. We met in 1993, so we're going on.
Okay. Yeah.
We're going on 30 years.
Wow.
It's a long time, and I've followed your career, and I'm a big fan of yours, and you know that.
Well, I know that, and thank you, and likewise. And wow, what a journey these last several decades have been. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that. But before we start, I'm going to ask you this question: who is Van Deeb?
Oh boy, you know, I'm just a grateful human being. I'm just grateful, you know. Not to toot my own horn, but I'm a disciplined, hardworking human being. And I love getting up in the morning and trying to be the best person I can be. And
yeah.
I'm just fortunate that I've been able to say in my life, I get to go to work, not I have to go to work. And so I celebrate that.
Yeah, and that's so important. That's one thing I've always known about you. I mean, that, you know, we have that in common. We've had these great long conversations and have talked about, you know, that and just, you know, really what life is all about. Going to get a little bit more specific. You were born here in Omaha.
So I was actually born in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. And then when I was 4, we moved back to Kearney, where my family's from.
Yeah, okay.
So you're right. Kearney, Nebraska is my family heritage. I mean, they came there straight from Ellis Island. So we have a rich history in Kearney, Nebraska from the late 1800s.
Okay.
Moved to Omaha when I was 6, grew up in North Omaha. And then I've made Omaha my home. I took a little break after college for 10 years. Went to Dallas, where I got my feet wet in real estate at 23 years old, which, you know, they tell you to get into real estate and call all the people you know, that's your sphere. And of course, I didn't know anybody, so didn't take long. And what a great time to get in real estate. In 1983, the interest rates were 17%. Yay!
Wow.
So, and then moved back to Omaha for family reasons in 1993. And I just, you know, I've been fortunate to meet like-minded, grateful human beings like you are. And what a great community we have. And Andy, what you're doing and have done is a big part of what our community is. So I'm grateful to be around like-minded people like you.
Well, and again, thank you for that, because we live in an amazing community, and I have the honor and the pleasure of sharing stories about individuals making a difference. I mean, now as CEO, publisher of Midland's Business Journal, you know, sharing those stories about entrepreneurs and small business. And I know you've been in MBJ many times. We might be due for an update. So we can chat
I'd
about
love
that.
that.
Yeah.
I'm a
Uh,
big fan of your father. He's the one that when
yeah.
I first met him, I was like, I got to do business with this guy. And
Yeah.
so in the late 90s, I was advertising in Midland's Business Journal. We're a people community.
Yeah.
If the person's good, we want to engage with that person and hope they have a good product.
Right. Right.
Or service.
Absolutely. So one of the the events that I recall from you, you've written about it in your book, but we're going to go back several years. You had this great idea to raise money by sitting on top of Children's Hospital.
Yes.
For days.
It was for Children's Hospital. You are correct.
Yeah.
And I would pick a local business and I'd advertise it months in advance. That I'm going to sit on top of a roof and raise money for Children's Hospital. And we pick, like one year was to benefit the neonatal unit. 1 year was the facial-cranial unit at Children's Hospital. We picked different, but I'd sit on top of a roof and I wouldn't come down till I raised my goal. And the community just got totally behind me. And then it got to be an event where local radio personalities got on the roof with me and broadcasted live, and celebrities would get up on the roof and we'd advertise that they were going to be there. And oh my gosh, it turned into a pretty cool thing, and I hate heights. So I was pretty anxious when we raised that money so I could get off the roof.
Right. But you definitely know how to make a splash. I mean, you know how to get people to notice, and that's a talent. I mean, that's something that you're good with, and it went to such a great cause. Because how old were you then? I mean, that was a while ago.
Yeah, that was back in my 30s.
Okay.
Couple days ago.
Yeah, sure.
But that's why you and I are like-minded. I mean, you're the same you're the same attitude. Go big or go home. If you're going to do something, do it so well. It's like Walt Disney. Walt Disney, one of his statements meant so much to me. He said, make their experience so magical, they want to come back and see it over and over and over again. Andy, you've got the event book, you've got your magazine, you've got your newspaper. They want to see it over and over again because you make it magical. So that's my attitude. If we're going to do something, we might as well do it with all we got. Or, I'm a big fan of avoiding being average. And that's not just in once in a while. It's every minute you can that you can not be average. You're going to feel better about yourself.
Yeah. And the world needs people that are not just average, that are not just a status quo, just doing what they need to do to get back. That does not create a greater world.
You don't need to have a leader role after your title on your business card. You can create your own leadership mantra inside of you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I just want to go back when you were on the roof.
Yeah.
Back in, there was a lot of charity activities going back then, but fundraising and charity really wasn't a community thing at that time. You had people that did it. So you mean that was kind of a trend setting. I mean, you're doing something that people weren't necessarily doing, especially in that age group. I mean, now it's very important. I mean, you see everybody's giving back, which is so important, but that wasn't the case back then.
And especially a guy. I mean, I don't look like Johnny Fundraiser. I just don't. And but I thought it was super cool. It made me feel good about myself. But it also, what the coolest thing about the 12 years I did sitting on the roof to raise money for Children's Hospital, the coolest thing was it encouraged other people to say, hey, you know what? My mother passed away of cancer. I'm going to raise money for the Cancer Society. My father has Alzheimer's. I'm going to raise money for them. My kid goes to blankety blank elementary. I'm going to raise money for her school. I'm going to have a golf tournament. I'm going to have a bowl-a-thon. It got people to think, if Van Deeb can do it, I can do it. And it was really cool watching this flower blossom.
Absolutely.
So it went way beyond me sitting on a roof.
Yep. Absolutely. All right, so let's talk a little bit about just some challenges you've had to experience because, you know, through your life, whether it's career or personally, I mean, you can get as personal as you want to, but I mean, we all have challenges, but I always love to hear how, you know, what did you do? What did you do to work, to step into them and then step through them?
Well, first of all, I believe that we were all born with the ability to work through any challenges that we have. If it's because we're resourceful and we ask for help or just using common sense. But one of my biggest challenges was when I moved back to Omaha, I was on automatic pilot in Dallas in real estate. It was a blessing. I mean, I couldn't go in a store in Dallas, Texas without somebody saying, hey, you're the real estate guy. I mean, I was in billboards and movie theaters. And I mean, I really marketed myself in a city where I knew no one when I got there. So when I got home back to Omaha, I'm starting my real estate business out of my basement. I had a lot of naysayers. You know, you're never going to make it. Don't start your own company. Come be with us. And kind of some, you know, just some competitors that weren't too friendly. Later they were.
Sure.
But it was my challenges of, you know, I want acceptance. I want at one point in my life, I wanted everybody to love me. And as I got older, you realize you can be the nicest person on the planet and it's not going to happen. And so the challenges of my biggest challenge I've had my whole career is taking things personal.
Yeah.
And like, if someone didn't list their house with me, like, what did I do wrong? I know no one's going to work harder than I am. Or in my speaking business, if you don't have me be your speaker, it's like, I know I'm going to engage with your audience better than anybody else. You know, so I'm learning not to take things personally, and I'm still, you know, 40 years in business, 38 years in business, and I'm still every day learning to be the person I want to be.
Right.
I embrace challenges. I think life would be a bummer if I didn't have challenges. You know?
Yes. And it was so funny. I was having a conversation with somebody the day before, really about taking things personally, because that can screw with you. I mean, that, you know, taking it personally, it's, you know what, people they do or they don't, and the more you can just kind of move on. Yeah.
I think that's a problem with a lot. I've noticed with a lot of people, but you know, yeah, it just depends. I think it's who's delivering it.
Sure.
And their relationship with you. Now, if I've known you forever and you want to make a jab or something, I'm probably going to brush it off and laugh with you. But if I don't know you and I get a jab, you know, it's like, hey man, I don't know. You know, I don't like that. But then you learn, and you know, I'm very spiritual and I love passages and reading. I'm a big Joel Osteen guy, and you know, that kind of stuff. When I listen to my spiritual messages and preachers, it really centers me.
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely. You've written quite a few books. And I know I mean, I've read, I don't know if I've read all of them. I've read most of them. And they always just make me feel inspired and, you know, ready to go. I mean, that's, you know, the energy that you put out there and how you, whether you're speaking or through your books or honestly just being you know, you really, it's this encouragement to everybody that we can do it, that, you know, there's nothing that you can't do. So for that, I thank you. And I know that's just kind of, you know, a message in your books.
Well, thank you, Andy. Yeah, it's not just to make somebody feel good, like you can do it, you got it in you. It's a fact. It's
you believe it. I mean, you believe it 100%.
Yeah, it's factual. It is, you know, I'm at church. I'll never forget a guy come up to me that I didn't know. And he comes up and he was teared up and he goes, I want you to know I met you 20 years ago. And I told you I wanted to go start my own business. And you're the only person that said that I could do it. And you encouraged me and you gave me all this inspiration. And I want you to know I did it against a lot of people telling me I couldn't. And I'm like, he's sobbing, telling me this 20 years. I'm going, why doesn't everybody encourage and inspire people that want to become better. But I
Absolutely.
really believe in my whole heart that if we set our mind to something, there's nothing we can't do. And Andy, you and I both know it's choices.
Yes.
And here's the cool thing about being a human is we can be on this path that's not great and it's been rotten and it hasn't been a great life. And we can make a decision. Tomorrow, I'm making changes. I'm going to get help with this. I'm going to stop doing this. I'm going to start doing this. People don't realize you don't have to be great to get started. You just have to get started to be great. And we all have it in us. Everybody, nobody's better than anybody. I truly believe nobody's better than the next person. It's choices we make to get to certain places because we want the best for ourselves.
Absolutely. And again, you know, and it's up to us to make those choices, but you make different choices, your life can just flip like that. So
and here's the thing, when you make a choice to be better, you're affecting everybody that knows you. Your kids, it's going to rub off on them. Your significant other is going to rub off on them. Your coworkers, your employer, your employees. Everybody benefits when you decide, I want to be better. Everybody benefits. Yeah. Everybody. And people up in heaven that are counting on you are watching you. Do it for them.
Well, I want to talk about a choice that you made that changed your life. This little guy back here in this book, Baxter. So we're just going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. And we're going to talk about that choice and what life is like. So folks, don't go away. We'll be right back.
Thanks.
Okay, everyone, friends, welcome back. We have Van is with the amazing, incredible Baxter, which is the inspiration. I'll grab this book, a book you wrote called My First Dog at 59, Baxter. So I mean, I've read through this book. It's, you know, it's a fun read and it's very, I mean, you can feel the heart and the love in it. So let's just talk about, how did Baxter come into your life?
So Baxter was a gift at 2 months old, and I've never owned a dog. And I was not going to. I said, thank you, but no thank you. And then I would go visit. It was my girlfriend at the time, and I'd go visit Baxter. And the next day, a couple days later, he would just stare at me, and it was like we're supposed to be buddies. And then I took him home, and I fell in love with him. It was like I have to have this dog. His name was Arnie. At 2 months old, I had to change it to Baxter because one of my favorite movies is Anchorman, and Ron Burgundy's dog was named Baxter. So it's been 2 years since I've had Baxter, and he has brought, so I write books about inspiration, motivation, sales, leadership. Mm-hmm. That book is about joy, because when I think of what Baxter's done for me in my life, all I think about is the word joy. And so he has been my best friend. I'm learning, you know, it's a lot for somebody at my age to get their first dog.
Yeah.
And so, it was stressful because I'm used to being selfish with my time. I'm used to flying off the seat of my pants, leaving when I want. Now everything I do is I think about you first, don't I? Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
So I don't like leaving alone. But of course I do because I'm out there. I'm still doing real estate and speaking. So I have some people that say, bring him. And I'm like, okay, thank you.
Well, and I know in your book, it's you've got the fun parts of being a dog owner and the hard parts. And I think all pet owners, especially dog owners, I mean, I have 3 cats and, they're different when it comes to how their care and what they require than dogs. But, I just look at this and I look at this book and look at you. I mean, the joy and the love and just the life in your eyes. It's amazing.
Yeah.
What animal companionship can do for us.
Yeah, and I never really knew that. But just that, like, I find myself laughing more than I ever have at just the stuff that he does. I mean, somebody else may not find funny, but he just does things that just, and I'm learning more and more about him. And, we're just 2 pals. And he's just a blessing. I mean, I really, I love taking care of him. And I'm over the top. I probably, I make him chicken breasts for his snacks. I mean, I do stuff that probably most people would laugh at. But I treat him like a human. I really do. He's not an animal to me.
Yeah. So, well, let's talk about, where can people get your book?
Oh my gosh, they can go to vandeeb.com, vandeeb.com, and it's a 2-day delivery. So that's the best place to get it.
Yeah.
And I just had fun. If I can bring joy in other people's lives, then it's a home run for me. But, I just want people to know that they have an experience, and maybe a pet isn't their joy, but they need to find something. And I just did my most recent podcast.
I was just going to mention that your most recent podcast was all about joy.
Yeah. We just need it. Andy, I've heard you use the word joy in years and years of knowing you. And there's a reason why you always have a smile on your face. And it's because you're filled with joy and you share that with others. And, I think you're contagious. I think when I'm happy, a lot of times it's because I just got done talking to you.
Well, thank you for that. I mean, that goes both ways. And when it comes to joy, because, there are times when I'm not joyful, but the more I go along in life, and especially this last year, I mean, joy is a choice. You have to choose it. Just don't expect it to come find you. You need to choose it. Yes. And it'll be there. It'll be there for you every moment of the day if you choose it.
Yeah, it's recognizing it and it's making it a priority.
Yeah.
It's like waking up in the morning and saying to yourself, I want to bring in this joy today. I really look at Baxter as a big part of my morning, because okay, you don't need to lick me too much. But it's wanting it, just like you said, it's recognizing it and letting it in.
Yeah.
And it is a choice. It's like anything in life, if we're open to it. And
right.
I think we should all try to find ways to make our lives better. Because once we make our own lives better, everybody around us benefits. Isn't that right? Yeah. So what are you doing, Dad?
That's absolutely true. So let's talk a little bit about, we've got a few minutes left.
Okay.
You do have a podcast that you've had for a while, so people can also find that on your website, but you have an e-newsletter that comes out that's very inspirational. I love it. I love getting it.
Thank you. Yes, I write monthly newsletters. They only go out once a month when people subscribe at vandeeb.com. I don't believe in bombarding you. And I only write about experiences, failures, victories, life-changing, and just ways to benefit people. My podcast, they can go to Apple, Spotify, vandeeb.com and get all my podcasts. And I always do podcasts. My whole thing is I'm not going to write newsletters or do podcasts unless I know it's going to benefit somebody. If not, I can just go to a mirror and talk to myself.
Right.
But I want people to benefit from my thoughts and my experiences.
They do. All right. We're about out of time. One last question. What are you excited about? What excites you right now in the midst of a lot of craziness and insanity and chaos in the world? What excites you?
You know, let me tell you, I know it's going to sound really super simple, but just my health. I'm grateful that I'm just grateful that, and I know it's not going to Disneyland, which by the way, I've never been. But I'm just excited about being alive. I'm excited about the next person I get to say hello to.
Yeah. Well, Van Deeb, my friend, thank you so much. We've been kind of talking about doing this for quite a while now. I mean, it's been a couple years. So it's great to have you on. This will be on metroTV, or people, if you're watching it right now, metroTV. It's also, if you're listening to it, you're listening to Contribution Rocks, my podcast, all about contribution. And you certainly make a huge contribution. And so does that little guy too. What a contribution to so many people.
Yeah, Andy, I'm so grateful for you and all you do for our community. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And I will see you soon, my friend.
Hope so. Thank you.
And join us next week. Have a great week. Thank you for joining me, my friends. Be sure to like us on Facebook. It's Metro Magazine, all one word. You can also find us on LinkedIn. Our website, spiritofomaha.com. I look forward to seeing you back here next week.